Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to a new tutorial. Going to go over fin filleting today. I've seen lots of different talk about different ways of doing it. This is the way I like to do them. I'm doing it on my low power rockets, definitely on my high powers, doing it on my mid powers. It's a really neat way to do them. The fillets come out really good. Perfect example here is on my Mad Cow Torrent. Really good fillets. It just looks beautiful on this rocket, like it's a one-piece deal. And I'm going to go over exactly how I did that. And I also do it on my smaller rockets. I've done it with my F.I.T.S. I did it on my Air Command. My daughter did it on her little Comanche, F.I.T.S. Comanche 3, which is this one right here. And I mean, they came out really good with fillets on this. For a kid, that's pretty good. I should say for an 8-year-old girl, that's really good. So I made up some mock-up tubes, and we're going to go over how to do it. And these are just basically a piece of balsa wood glued to a cardboard tube, basic rocket. This isn't an actual rocket I'm building, just something I can dummy up. And I do this when I'm practicing a new technique. So if you're planning on doing something new that you've never done before, dummy it up. Practice. The only way you get better is with confidence, and you get confidence by practicing how to do something. So before you actually spend the time, money, and tears to do it on a rocket, you do it and it doesn't work, there's your tears. Practice it so you feel confident that you can do it with good results. So practicing on scrap stuff. This is just a piece of balsa I cut off of a fin pattern sheet that was left over in a tube from a food saver roll. So what we're using Fix It Epoxy. This is by Apogee, and it comes in a two-part formula, an A and a B. And I love this stuff. It's really good to work with, but like any epoxy, it is temperature sensitive. So remember that when you're working with it, it is a temperature sensitive, like any other epoxy. So it comes in your A formula and your B formula, or your hardener and your steel, or however they want to call it. And you get equal amounts, and then you mix it up with your fingers. And just knead it until it's a uniform color. You knead it for a couple minutes, and it's really malleable then, because you've warmed it up with your fingers, and it's a lot hotter. So that helps out a little bit with working it. Keep a towel nearby. Your fingers start feeling sticky, wipe your fingers. I do this a lot. I have tons of these towels that have epoxy, wood glue, and clay and paint and everything on them. And I use them for this purpose strictly. I can wipe my hands on them constantly. When I'm decaling, I keep a wet one on my table so that I can keep my fingers wet. Alright, so we're going to roll this out into a worm after we've worked it, and we're going to place it on the fin. Now, it doesn't go all the way down. I'm not worried about that. I just want to get it in the general location, and I'm going to take my finger, wipe it off, make sure it's nice and dry. Now I'm going to take, and watch carefully, I'm going to roll, kind of push it into place and roll. Roll your finger. Roll. I'm just pushing it into the fin and the body tube. I'm just trying to make it adhere and grab, because if I try and do anything other than get it to adhere and grab right now, it's going to come right off. So now we're pushing it in there. Now I'm going to I need to get a camera. I'm doing this with a remote control, so it's a little fun. I'm just taking a popsicle stick. When I did my level 1 rocket, I used a tongue depressor. But you can take and you can carve the top of the popsicle stick to the shape you want. If you want it flat, just take and grind the top flat. If you want it more curved, pointy, however you want to do it. That's what's great about a popsicle stick, is you can sand it, cut it, shape it however you want. I'm going to take it and I'm going to grab right at the front, and I'm going to pull. So I'm pulling across the fin, and I'm pushing the clay into the fin and into the body tube all the way down. It's just about how you would do a bead of caulking. if you're doing some plumbing work. I didn't have enough, so I'm going to re-roll a little piece that came off. I'm going to push that in. Now, you need to be careful when you get to the end of your pull. Rolling it with my finger. Rolling it, rolling it, rolling it. You need to watch when you get to the end of your pull and kind of tap that clay in to the tail of your pull and then pull it across. If you pull straight across, you'll pull a gap or literally pull it right out of the tail piece, and you'll have a piece that you have to tap back in there with your hand, which is no big deal. You can do it. Just like up here, I pulled it across the front, and you can see there's a little bit of a gap left there. Well, I just take a piece and I roll it, and I push it around, and I mold it just exactly the way I want, using just my fingers. And then I can take the popsicle stick again, and I can drag it around the way I want it to look. And I don't have to make it perfectly pretty right now. I just need to get it close. This stuff is very, very sandable. It works great. Every now and then you might have to wipe off your popsicle stick. Okay, so now I've got a rough idea of how it's going to look, and I've kind of shaping it and working. Yeah, I've got some fuzzy ends and stuff like that. That's not a big deal. We're going to take care of that with just some regular rubbing alcohol. Some people use water. I like using rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to kind of lightly wet it. And then I'm going to drag my finger across, back and forth, and work it, smooth it. And that's all I'm doing, is I'm smoothing it and feathering it out, top and bottom, with my finger. And the alcohol helps do that. Now, because it's alcohol and it evaporates quicker is why I use it. I like the fact that it evaporates quick and I have less moisture, as I say, or liquid into the body tube and the balsa. So now we're done doing that. We've put it all in, and we're going to set that off to the side after we do both sides, obviously, and we're going to let it dry. Step 2, wait a few hours, and it's going to dry, and we've got a nice hard epoxy clay fillet. So what do we do next? Well, now we have to fill in the gaps that the epoxy clay didn't fill in, or the unevenness that's going to happen. So we grab our good old-fashioned wood filler, cup, some water, and a paintbrush. This is a very short bristled brush that I have here. Move the alcohol out of the way. And I'm going to use this to paint wood filler onto the fillet. I keep a piece of plastic on top of my wood paste because if you don't, it can dry out. This helps keep it from drying out. You can use just a piece of saran wrap or whatever works for you. Okay, so now just grab a little bit of wood putty, and we're going to put just a teensy bit of water in there. We want to make this a little bit thicker. I like it a little bit thicker than toothpaste. Some people like it the consistency of toothpaste. Some people like it less. Again, for me it's a matter of I don't want too much liquidy application going on to the rocket. So we're going to mix this up really, really good. Don't forget to seal up your wood putty container. We're going to mix, mix, mix. Need a little bit more. So we're going to need a little bit more. There we go. And we'll keep on mixing. So the reason I like the toothpaste again is because it helps keep less moisture, less liquid on the rocket. It's always better to go less liquid as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I've got it about the consistency I like. So now I'm going to take my paintbrush, zoom in a little bit here, and I'm going to paint my fillet. And I'm just going to dab it on there. We all know how easy this stuff comes off, so go ahead and put a lot on. That way you're not applying 2 and 3 times. You're just applying it once and you're done. I don't like a lot of sanding, but I'd rather be done with this instead of playing around because I left a gap or anything. Okay, so now we've got a nice coat all the way around of our wood filler. And you'll see here, let me clean my brush out before the stuff dries up. Okay. Here's one I did earlier. Oh, that's the wrong one. There it is. Here's one I did earlier, and I've already got all the wood filler and the epoxy. This is all dry. It's had plenty of time to dry. So now we're going to sand it. We'll start off with some very heavy grit, as you normally would. This is 150, and you can just kind of like make a coil of it, and we're just going to sand. Pay attention to what we're doing. And get it roughed down to where we're happy with it. If you have a larger rocket, use a wooden dowel. I use wooden dowel on my level 1 rocket on my Mad Cow Torrent, and I just boom, 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 boom. And I have another one I glued 150 here. I've got another one with 220 glued onto it, and then I've got one with 400 glued onto it. So we're just going to go and get our rough sand in. Now once we've got a general sanding the way we want it going, we'll switch up to our lighter grit. We go 220. And this is the one where you can, if you got a little bit on the tube, you can sand it off. You're not going to tear up your tube. If you were smart, you remember, always sand the shine off, because nothing can adhere to a shine really well. A lot of people go by that theory. Always sand your tubes and scuff them up. So we're going to sand that. And you can see how quickly that's actually coming down to a very nice fillet. You just keep sanding. If you have to, because you find out that you missed a spot majorly, or you hit an air bubble or anything like that, go ahead and go in and retouch up with either epoxy clay or wood putty if you need to. Don't forget your front area. Sand that nose area and sand your back area. And then you're ready for primer. And I mean, just with that little bit of sanding, that's actually fairly smooth and just about perfect for primer. Go up to your 400 grit. Same thing, just start sanding. Sand it nice and smooth. You can actually switch to a wet grit now because you're up to your 400 wet grit paper. And really, really simple to do your fillets that way. So Apogee sells Fix It Epoxy Clay. I like to say Tim Van Milligan and all of them out there are great people. Always real speedy on getting your order out to you. Real quick to help out if you have a question or trouble. So go ahead and look them up. Tim Van Milligan at the Apogee Components. And again, thanks for watching. And that's my video and tutorial on how I, myself, prefer to do the Fix It Epoxy fillets. So have a great day.